Hey team, I just wanted to do this message to talk about the base running assignment. Thought this would be a lot easier way and a lot quicker for you to consume it via a quick video like this than trying to read through a bunch of stuff. And overall, I just wanted to talk about sort of the responses and some of the points of the base running assignment. And I got this cool diagram that I could hopefully show some things and talk about some other things. Overall, base running obviously is really important to us. We want to be able to be aggressive and make a big difference on the base running side. It's one spot where we can use our speed to make a big difference. One of the big points of all the questions and overall is really that it's really important as a player for you to be responsible for the base running, make your own decisions, be aggressive. Um, we talk a lot about listening to coaches and this and that, and that's true. The coaches can give you some information, but realistically, if you're trying to take that extra base at the right time, or if you're trying to stretch that double to a triple, single to a double, it comes to your ability as a player to quickly read the situation, make the decision, and commit to what's going on. So there's really a lot of that goes on. So I'll go through the questions quick, talk about it, and I'll maybe do some diagramming along the way. First question. So what you do with your head when you start running from first base? Um, and where are you not looking? So according to the video, the first thing was to bury your head. So that was sort of like a sprinter's trick of as you start to lead, you bury your head down low, and that sort of lets you gather some momentum before you rise up and start to run. The biggest thing was not to look into home plate to see what's happening at home plate. Um, you can maybe glance in a little bit after you've gotten to full speed, about halfway or more than halfway to second base. But those were the basics there. Bury your head and don't look into home plate. Question two, when you dive back, what part of the base do you dive back into? So the basic answer was you dive back into the back corner of the base. And some of the reasons, the biggest reason really, the basic one is it's the furthest away from the pitcher. It gives that extra foot of distance that ball needs to travel. The first baseman, when he catches it, has to travel his glove backwards to try to tag you instead of being able to just drop straight down. That's the easiest one. Some other ones, the front of the bag. If you don't dive into the back corner, sometimes you'll see the foot of the first baseman there. He's going to be blocking that part of the bag. So you might get blocked or you might get spiked, which is even worse. Also, when you're lining up to the back part of the bag when you're doing your leadoff. So that's going to be the closest point to you. And those are the basics. Some of the other basics are making sure that that dive with your right hand to that back corner follows with your face facing the outfield to allow you to two things: see the ball if it rolls away, and also to keep your face safe, which is probably the most important part. So that's the answer there to the back corner, and lots of good reasons why you do that. The third question was when you're being picked off, two steps the sequence to return to the base. So this is a pretty basic one. Crossover step and a dive. So this is what's important. So the reason for that is you don't want to have too many actions. You don't want to take three shuttle steps or a shuffle and a dive, and it's all about speed and doing things immediately. So the crossover step, similar to an outfielder. I'm trying to get a jump on a ball. That quick crossover step allows you to get moving toward that direction without any false steps. So you're not taking a shuffle, you're not taking a false step. You're doing a crossover, and then with your right leg, you're doing a crossover, and that's giving you good power to push into the dive to get back as soon as possible. So the right answer there was a crossover step, followed by a dive, and that's it. And that should be able to get you back there. If you need to know if the pitch is going to home plate or picking off, where do you look and what are you looking for? So in most cases, I'm going to go to my handy diagram here. So I'll move the first baseman out of the way, and I'll move you. You can be number one. So you're here. You are the runner leading off. Pitcher's got the ball on the mound, and what you're looking for here are you going to look at his feet? And I'm dealing with a right-handed pitcher here, not a lefty. Lefty is a different animal, and we'll have to cover that separately likely. But in this case, a right-handed pitcher. What you're going to do is you're going to be looking at his feet. I heard a couple of answers of look at here, look at there, look here and there. It's hard to look in two places. So you really need to focus on one thing. As you're switching your gaze, you're going to get caught up at the moment you're switching. So what we want to work on is looking at his feet and obviously looking at the pitcher has two ways of coming to first base. The pitcher can either step off the mound and then throw to first base, or they have to pivot their back foot and toward first base and then do a step and throw. In either one of those, the back foot has to move first. As soon as the front foot moves, that puts the weight on the back foot. Now that person either would have to put the front foot back down in order to step back or pivot sideways. And that would be a balk. So the important part of it is that you look at the feet. If the back foot moves, you go back. If the front foot moves, you can steal. What I saw when we were playing together was a lot of okay. So next one. Next one is how many outs should there be when we take a chance on getting to second base or to third base, and why? Okay, so here's the situation. Let me just reset all this. Let me reset things here. Okay. I'm actually going to get this. This is actually driving me crazy. I'm going to have to fix this. They just put these numbers in random spots. They just put them in the right place. So there, that's better. Now we've got people in the right spot at least. Okay. So when you're going to go to third base, so you've knocked one to the fence, or you've reached first, and your teammate has hit a single, and you're now hustling to second, and you're trying to decide right now whether you want to go to third base. Okay, so it's nice to get to third base. Obviously, we want to score. You get closer to home, but what are some of the basic thoughts here around why you would run to third base or not? So first thing that's important to remember is when you're at second base, you're now in what would be called scoring position. So you've all heard that. Scoring position means that from second base, with the proper leadoff, when your partner here gets a hit and they hit the ball into the outfield, you're going to be able to score and get a run. Yay, go team. Obviously, this is what's important is also your speed that you can actually, are you really in scoring position? If you're no, you're not the fastest runner, and you know second base isn't actually scoring position for me, then maybe you are a little more aggressive going toward third. But for most folks, second base is scoring position. So why would we want to be on third base instead of second base if second is scoring position? Well, third base is closer to being able to score, and now you can score on all kinds of things. Obviously, you score on a hit. You also score on a sac fly that gets caught. You can score on a ground ball up the middle. You score on a pass ball that goes by the catcher. You score on a lot of things. So it's good to be at third because now the options for you scoring go way, way up. So it's good to get there, but we don't want to take a chance and make the outs there when there's still a good opportunity for you to score from second, or it made no difference at all that you got to third, or very little difference. So the basic rule is you don't want to make the first out at third base. So why not? Let's say there's nobody out, your teammate gets a hit, and you're coming to second. Do I want to go for third? Well, if you do and you get thrown out, now there's one out, and if your teammate was smart, maybe he followed into second, and we have a runner at second with one out. But if you decide to stay at second, now there's nobody out and two runners on. We got good offense going on. You're still in the scoring position, so you're only a little bit less likely to score on a hit. This guy gets a hit, you can score. But now you get a couple chances. So now this guy gets a ground out, you can advance to third, and the next time you can score. So you don't want to make the first out at third base because there's a decent opportunity that you're going to score from second later in the inning, and don't want to get that out there. The other one you don't want to get out on is you don't want to make the last out over here. So if there's one out, if there's two outs and you're running towards second and there's a chance, if you decide not to go, then the next guy needs a hit for you to get a base hit. You're probably going to score on that hit anyway. If you try to go for third and you get yourself out, then you're going to have ended the inning and now we can't score you. And the benefits of standing at third with only two out isn't all that much greater. Now you can't score on a ground ball, you can't score on a sac fly. Yeah, you can still score on a pass ball, which great, but it isn't upping the odds of you scoring so much that you take a big risk going to third base. So the answer to the question is you're going to be most aggressive getting to third base when there's one out, so that you can get there and allow for the batter to hit you in with lots of different things. That doesn't mean don't go to third if there's any no risk at all. It's just a matter of taking excessive amounts of risk, right? So if you think you can make it, if you're going to make it, then go to third base. But if you think there's some questions about it, then don't do that. So that's the answer. So you're going to go to third base when there is one out. Um, Take a big chance. Okay, leading off at third base, some key points. So leading off at third base is always an interesting thing. It feels a bit weird. It's not like everyone knows how to lead off first. Third's a little bit different. One of the biggest things here is you don't want to get picked off third base. There's really no point in that. You're not stealing home very often. You're going to steal home on a pass ball, which your secondary lead will allow you to do, but you're not doing a straight steal of home, and where that extra 2 feet of lead off is really making a big difference. So we're going to sort of keep an eye on things. First thing you're going to do is be on the base and check the signs. Make sure you know what's going on. That's always very, very important to understand what's happening out there. Um, and so understand, is there another steal? Is there a hit and run? Is this guy going to bunt? So know that. And then keep an eye on the pitcher. Make sure you know where the ball is at the pitcher. And then start to sort of float off the base. So a couple steps, floating into foul territory, not going too far. Keep an eye on this third baseman. If he's playing way back here, now you can go further, right? And this is where the coach can come in and help you. If I'm the coach here, I'm just helping you, saying that guy's coming back, creeping in. It's also nice if you can push it here a little bit when this guy, because that forces him back. They're obviously playing away from the base so that this guy can't hit a ball through here. So if you force him back into a normal position, you don't lose much because now your lead is a little bit shorter, which we already said doesn't really make a world of difference. And you force the defense into a position that they didn't want to play. So that's why it's important. If they decide to do something like this, they do a little shifty, and this guy's over here. Now basically you can come down almost to here. Like, who's going to get you? This guy's going to run at you, like, and then you can just run back. As long as you can beat the pitcher and you can beat this guy back, you can push it, right? So that's obviously kind of a cool, and they probably won't do that, but something to keep an eye on. So do that. So you're floating off, keeping it safe, but doing that. Um, Now that ball gets pitched. What's important here is that secondary lead. You want to get aggressive. You're assuming, to me, it's always assume it's going to bounce away and you're going to get a chance to score. I see a lot of times where the ball does actually bounce away, and now the runner at third base is trying to make that decision of, do I score? Do I stay here? What do I do? And by the time they've sort of thought about it and they've gone back and forth a few times in their brain, they they don't have time anymore because now the ball is under control and the catcher's picked it up. So to me, the biggest thing that's important here is just assume everything's a pass ball or going to bounce, and then you're going to score. So take those 3 hard, aggressive steps, and according to the video, right, left, right, right, left, right. Get yourself into a good position, ready to go home. And then if it bounces away, you're gone, right? If you take a few hard steps on a bounce away, and it turns out it's not going to be retrieved, it's going to be retrieved quickly, then you have time to go back because the catcher still has to pick it up. Let's assume it's a good pitch. Boom, ball gets caught. You did your hard secondary lead. Now you're going to hustle back. What you're going to do is you're going to move now quickly into fair territory, and you're going to hustle back to the base. And why do we do that? Well, you want to move into fair territory so that if this throw does come down to third base, you're blocking that path, right? It's harder for this catcher to throw that ball down to the third baseman if you're in the way. If you decide to go back over here, he's got a clear path. He can do this, and now you're dead. So if you come back in here and then you go back hard, that ball, in order to complete that pickoff play, they basically need to throw it through you to get it there. So that's obviously a very difficult play. That's really the only place that comes into play, right? Over at first base, there's always a clear path. They can always pick you off, right? Because they're throwing down this line. You're not on the same line as the throw, same at second. But third base is the one where you're on the same line as the baseball needs to be on in order to be successful. So you're basically get your body in the way. If it hits you, you're going to be safe. Okay? So that's the rules of this. And the other big one, you go in foul territory. So in case there's a ball that gets hit and it hits you, then you're okay. You're not going to be out. So that's the rules of leading off third base. Okay, the next question. Oh, I love this one. So this is talking about when should you hang or go halfway, and lots of factors of why you make this decision. Okay, so to me, this is one of the most important parts about base running that people struggle with a lot and costs lots of runs. So let's figure it out. Okay, so you are standing, whatever, first base. This is a lot like rounding and you're going between bases. A lot of the same theories apply. But let's say you're running at, oh, sorry, I put the ball at first base. You're running at first base. Now, your batter hits a high pop fly into left field. So toward this guy, looks like it's going to go there. So the question you ask yourself is, do I hang, which similarly to how far you round first base on a hit to maybe go to second is where should you hang out? And it really should be, again, as far as you can safely go toward the next base without putting yourself in risk. So if I'm going to go hang out, this ball's out here similar, I'm going to go about here because that's where I can safely go. If this guy catches this ball, then I need to go back to first. Well, still, again, lots of time. He can catch it. I'm going to make my hustle back to first and get there because he's got to throw the ball all the way from here all the way to there on a perfect throw, and I got lots of time to get back. This in that in the sack fly, you're probably not going to wait till he throws it because you got to get back, and you know you're not allowed to go forward, so you might as well just hustle back because you weren't allowed to go forward anyway. Um, if that ball should bounce on the ground, then obviously you're here, and now you can go here. If that ball bounces on the ground and skids past him a little bit, now this is the big reason that you hang out as far as you can. That ball skid past him a little bit. You're here. Whoa, look at me now. I'm at third base. What I see more of a part, it's really costs us a lot, cost teams a lot, is you do one of two things in this situation. So that ball's being hit out here. Looks like you might catch it, but maybe you won't. Couple other options you could have. You could tag. And in this case, if he catches that ball, you're probably not going to proceed to second anyway because it's a pretty short throw. So that's one of the situations you don't want to tag. If you can't make it anyway, don't bother. There's no point to it. Um, but also, this is the one going to here. This little lead off here. You're not tagging and you're not hanging as far as you can. Even if that ball gets caught, you step back into first base. But if that ball drops on the ground right in front of him, now you got to make it to second base, and you start to run after it hits the ground. He makes a clean pick, throws it into second, and you're caught out. This is the worst thing in the world. You can't have that happen whenever it's avoidable. So those are sort of the rules of this. So you're going to hang out here. So what are some of the things you want to do? So if it's obvious the fielder will catch the ball, sorry, I'm going to go back a little bit. What I want us thinking is the default is going to be that we want to hang between bases. We want to put pressure and go out off the base and don't tag up. Um, that's sort of the basics. There's going to be some very specific situations where you do want to tag, and they're easier to sort of remember the scenarios of tagging. So let's go with that. So as a team, I want you guys to get out there and be aggressive and push toward the next base. But in the following circumstances, you're going to tag up. Okay, this is it. Um, so a couple scenarios. So you're going to tag when it is obvious that the outfielder is going to catch the ball. So this number left fielder here is here. Ball gets hit. It's a high fly. This guy's a good player. He doesn't really drop balls very often, and he's camped under it. Looks like he's got it. So there's zero question about it. You're standing at. Um, I guess that's another thing to add in here. It's obvious the fielder will catch the ball, and you know you can actually advance to the next base. So if you're standing at first, this ball is here. Are you tagging at first base to move to second when the ball's hit to the left fielder? He's got a good arm. If you're not going to tag anyway, don't. Even if it's obvious he's going to catch it, just let him catch it and then get back to first because you weren't going to tag anyway. Are you going to tag from second if that left fielder has the ball and run to third? Probably not. It's a pretty short throw. Um, so you gotta know that you are actually going to tag. Don't tag on a base and then when it gets caught, then not run because you were never going to make it. That doesn't make any sense. A situation where you probably are going to tag is that ball is you're at second. That ball's a nice high, pretty deep, but easy enough fly ball to the right fielder. He catches it. Now you know you're fast enough. you're going to tag and you're going to go to third base using all the rules around is it the right time to go to third base if it's a risky play. So if there's one out, yep, you're going to get that. Or in that case, there's zero out. There's going to be one out after he catches it. You want to get to third base in order to so you can score on the next play. So yeah, that's a play where you might tag. Another tagging time, if I look at tagging times, are if you're at third base, all of this obviously was less than two out. If there's two out already, then you never tag because then when the fly ball gets caught, there's three out and the inning's over anyway. When you're at third base, when I'm coaching third base, what I always say is to a person on third base, less than two out, tag on any ball, any fly ball that gets hit. You want to tag. Um, and the reason for it is this: if I'm at third and that ball gets hit deep enough out here, and I'm tagging, when he catches it, I can run in and score. If I'm hanging out here and then he catches it, then I go back and then I got to score. Now I might not make it, so I'm going to tag and go. The biggest thing is if he catches it, I can score, and you know what? If he drops it, I can still score. So it makes no difference at all. So at third base, you're almost always tagging. The questionable ones are if it's shallow, so the ball is hit. So the ball's popped up in between, and this guy's hustling in to catch it. So in that case, you got to make that read of if you tag and it does hit, if you're like, I'm still too far, I might not score. But if I go halfway and he makes a miracle catch, that's it. So basically, if it isn't far enough out for you to score on a tag, then you might start to hang out if you might miss it so you can score. Um, you got to figure out how far you can go. So if it's just that little pop up in between, even if he catches it, I'm probably not going to score from here because it's a little too close. He's going to throw me out. Then I might cheat a little bit if it looks like he might not catch it. But don't cheat so far you get picked off. So those are some of the rules around tagging. Some other times you might tag. Obviously, if you can advance to the next base and it's important to do so, you're going to do that. Another time you might tag is if this is similar as far as you will be able to advance to the next base is a situation like this where I've got runners at first and third and this ball gets an easy fly ball here. Um, this guy tags. You're going to tag it first. He catches it. This guy starts to run toward home. And you start that move towards second. Now, this is where you have to watch the throw. If that ball decides I'm going to try to get this guy at home, as soon as that ball gets launched in that direction, you can continue towards second. But what might happen is if that left fielder is smart and he knows that guy is going to score from home and I'm not throwing him out, then he might go ahead and try to throw that ball into second base. And at which point you tagged and went, oh, no, he's got me, I'll go back. But because you tagged, you gave yourself the opportunity to go towards second and on a throw that didn't go towards second base. So that's something you can do. There's other times you can tag if you really feel that this fly ball is going into this guy and he's not going to drop it, but you think, he's going to catch it and he's not going to know what to do. He's going to catch it and he's going to flip it in to the cutoff man because that's what they always do. They always throw it, or he's going to flip it into the third baseman, or he's just going to like catch it and then he's going to do a little. He's going to hot dog a little bit, put his head down. So if you really feel that's going to happen, you can tag, and then on the catch, you can decide to run to second base. That's an aggressive play. If the left fielder is doing his job, probably isn't a possible play, but you never know. Maybe if you're smart enough and you know that errors are going to be made, then you can make those sort of things. You can draw those throws. Okay, so that's some of the important stuff. Is you want to hang out whenever those balls are in question of being caught, or really when tagging makes no sense. Hang out and be ready to get aggressively around for those extra balls. That's really the important part of it. Is you want to put pressure on that defense to get those extra bases. Okay, some other things to consider. Some points on all these things you're doing this. Obviously, where the ball is hit. Your own speed. If you're super fast, then you can probably tag in advance on a lot more. If you're not the fastest runner, then you're going to be able to tag in advance on less stuff. Doesn't mean you can't still be smart. It just narrows the opportunities for you to advance. But you still need to make the right decisions. And obviously, the outfielder's arm strength is really important. Does this guy got a rocket arm, or does he really throw little lob balls? Makes a huge difference in making your decisions. The level of urgency and attention being displayed by the defense. Are they being lazy out there? Are they sharp? Are they on their game? Um, is the base being covered? So you should be able to figure all this stuff out and understand, am I going to tag or am I not going to tag? Lots of things to think about, but those are the basics. Um, okay, here's a pretty straightforward one, but important. 3 ways to approach first base. So you hit the ball. There's 3 ways you're going to approach third base. I'm not going to make it too complicated. You're going to run straight through is one of them. And you're going to do that when you hit a lost the baseball. You're going to do that when you hit a ground ball to shortstop or second base or third base. You hit a ground ball. It's not going to be a double. Probably not going to go to second, but you might beat it out at first, or you're going to try at least. You're going to run straight through that base. That's the basic one. The other one, next one is called the banana. So what are we going to do with our banana ball? So you hit the ball. Boom. You hit the ball and you see it is a base hit going into the gap. No way anyone's getting it. It's definitely going to hit the ground. So you hit a good ball. It's a base hit. You immediately understand that. So you start your banana. So you start out as early as possible, a reasonable amount to get an angle because you know you're rounding first. And then you come into first, listen to your coach a bit, pick up the ball a bit. Here's where you make that first or second decision and go back or go forward. And that's the banana. So if you made a hit, you know it's going to be a hit, or you've hit it to the outfield, even if they catch it. So you hit a long fly ball to this guy, do your banana, get going. If they catch the ball, you go back to the dugout, but whatever. Um, that's that. The last one is called the question mark. And when you do the question mark is you hit a ground ball somewhere. This is the defensive position. Sorry, let me get these guys back into some sense of normal positioning here. This guy here, this guy back here, this guy's in for the bunt. I'll put him back there. So you hit a ground ball and it scoots and it's going up here. So you're not sure if the shortstop's going to get it or not. So you're hustling down the line. Now, at some point in your peripheral vision, you see that ball scoots through, or you hear your coach saying, oh, round, round, round. So the coach obviously knows that it's gone through the infield. So now you're going to do the question mark, which is straight, and then, oh, create that angle, and then off toward second base. So that's when you're going to do those 3 things. When you cross first base, what do? So now I've hustled down to first base. So now I'm here and I'm hustling down to first. The ball comes. Um, I beat the throw and now I'm crossing first base. So what are the 2 things I want to do right after I step on that base? So basically the 2 important things here is you want to get yourself stopped and ready to do the next thing. Sometimes what you see is people running through and they run, ooh, they run out here, right? And now no matter what happens, if that ball goes to the fence or whatever happens, they can't do anything. So they run through and then they kind of turn and they come loping back into first base. So, okay, great, you were safe, but if something happened, you weren't able to do anything. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself come through, boom, and you want to stop as soon as possible. And the easiest way to do that is with some breakdown steps. So really quick, choppy steps to keeping yourself athletic so you get yourself stopped. And then you're going to look toward the fence, and you're going to look for the baseball. So now you're stopped. You've turned a little bit here to look toward the fence. Now you don't see the baseball, or you don't hear anyone. You don't hear your coach telling you anything. So you figure the first baseman's got the ball, and you were safe. Now you come back and you head to first base. But if you see that ball, or if your coach is going, go, you hear him, now you're in still an athletic position. You haven't run out to right field. Now you can just quickly do a pivot and get yourself going to second base. So those are the basic ones. You're going to do a quick breakdown to get yourself stopped. You're going to look for the baseball. You're going to turn and look. If you see the baseball, you just take off and you go to there. Or if you hear your coach telling you to go, maybe you didn't see the ball, but your coach is definitely he's saying go. You take off and go. Okay. So the last thing we talked about was identifying some key things in the aggressive base running video. So that was really a really cool video, and I really wanted you guys to watch that with the eye to understand, um, with an eye to understand what it means to be aggressive on the base paths and what advantages and what sort of circumstances allow you to do that and the damage you can do. I mean, you saw free runs and chaos being formed on the field, and that's at the major league level, right? These are defensive players who are superstars at baseball. we still play 15, 14-year-old players, and yeah, we're going to play elite ball, but so they're pretty good, but they still make tons of mistakes. And as I'm sure we may make a few mistakes out there as well, and teams will take advantage of us. We're going to work on that on defense to cut back. But this really shows that if you're really paying attention, you're smart, you can do some really awesome things. So um, some of the key things that I saw in that, and you guys all made some good points. One of the biggest ones was defenders is not paying attention. So that ball got hit here. You're standing at second base. Dude decides to kind of start jogging or flipping it. I love this little the flip into this other guy. I'm just going to toss it gently. Every time you see those gentle tosses, boom, next base. Like I'm out of here. So that's really a big one. Or um, catches this guy's running here, catches this ball. You're at second base. Um, you see an opportunity, maybe you've been tagging up and you weren't going to run, but now you see him catching it and he's just kind of like loping over here and he kind of keeps jogging into there. You're gone, right? So really you can take advantage of defenders not paying attention. Because if you're aggressive, you got to remember they can't just suddenly throw that ball to that next base. Especially if they were being kind of lazy and not paying attention. They now have to. They have to. Someone has to get their attention. They got to figure out that you're running, and then they got to line themselves up again and make that perfect throw to that next base in order to get you. Uh, all all in a few seconds it takes you to run there. So if they weren't paying attention in the first place, think of how difficult that's going to be in order to get you out. So I think we also sometimes make too many assumptions that the plays are going to be perfect, putting more pressure on the defense, make them make really tough plays. Some other key things that I saw from that video um, is you kind of got to know what's the situations are, know what's happening. The one part of the video that I saw was that I think it was Dustin Pedroia. He stole second and then realized, boom, after he stole second, he just ran to third. He hustled over to third because no player was covering third base. Well, I bet you he had an inkling that was already going to be the case because they had the big shift on. And if he stole, I'm sure he was standing over at first base thinking all these things before it happened. He didn't just think of it in that second. He probably said, if I steal and I'm safe, if that guy forgets to cover, I'm going to have a quick look, and if he's not there, I'm going. You kind of got to plan these things out. You got to say, here's all the things that might happen. So whenever you're standing at a base, go through that progression of the things that might happen. Um, what am I going to do? In a case where there's a double, in a case there's a fly ball, if the guy bunts, if it's a ground ball to second base, here are the things I'm going to do so that when that thing happens, you already have that in your head and you're able to do it. Okay, so that's some of the important ones. So, and you have to make these decisions on your own. Dustin Pedroia did not look for a sign from the third base coach to come over to third base. He saw it, he made the decision. It's important to listen to your coaches. Your coaches can help you. But in the heat of the battle, in the middle of that run, you're the one that is able to run to the next base. You see where the ball is. You see where the defenders are. If you understand how it all works, you understand the risks, you understand what you're supposed to be doing, what the defense might do. You can make those decisions in the spur of the moment, and you got to make them. Um, if you end up waiting for a coach to make it for you, you're going to be too slow. So you got to make those decisions. Sometimes you'll get them wrong, and that's okay. Some of the other big things, as a defender, you guys can see it. Don't assume anything. So I'm tagging here, make this catch here. Boom. He's not going to tag and run home. So I'll just kind of jog it or I'll flip it. Suddenly he's gone. Always hustle. Always be ready. Always make that right throw quickly. Don't assume the base runners are going to do what you expect them to do. So especially some of the teams that we're playing at the elite level, they are super aggressive because they know people are going to make mistakes. So as a defender, you've got to be that way. Some other thoughts generally is being aggressive when running the bases, causing lots of defensive mistakes. You see major leaguers suddenly look like hacks out there making tons of errors because the base runners are putting pressure on them. You start to see that making plays on defense is not always easy, especially under pressure. How many times did you see in that video, this guy just needed to throw the ball into the catcher because this guy came running and suddenly the ball bounces short, goes over his head, goes to the backstop. Them making the play is not a assumption. It's not something you can assume is going to happen, especially in that surprise situation where it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. Now suddenly the play's going to go. You saw the one guy try to throw the ball and it came flying out of his hand sideways. It's like, this is what happens when you put pressure on a defense. is that they make mistakes. It's hard to make a perfect play, especially when it was a surprise and suddenly there's lots of urgency and pressure on you. You're going to make that quick error. So when you're aggressive, you can get lots of mistakes and just generate all kinds of offense. As a runner, yeah, always be keep an eye on what's going on. Watch, be ready. So always assume something bad's going to happen, and then take advantage of those lazy defenders or things going the wrong way if the ball jumps away. Hustle as fast as you can from place to place. Sometimes I see guys at second base, and there's a base hit here. He knows he's probably not going to score, so he kind of lopes into third base and there. Hustle, get there and get ready for it, and stay athletic and get ready for the next thing. Right, always being ready to move to the next part. Think of things ahead. Have a plan. So just like everywhere, just like on defense, if the ball gets hit to me, if the ball gets hit there, what am I doing? Follow the rules. When you're running the bases, same thing. Have a plan. If the ball gets hit there, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be aware this might happen. If I perfect situation here, runner at first and third. We talked about this one before. Runners at first, runner at third. Fly ball gets hit out. You needed to know that, hey, fly ball, he's going to tag, I'm going to tag, and then that ball, that throw is going to go home, I'm going to tag and go to second base. How many times do we mess that up and not do that because you didn't pre-plan for it? When that ball gets hit, what do you do? I panic. What do I do? I'm just going to go run out here. And then the ball gets caught and you run back to first. The ball gets thrown home to try to get this guy, and you're stuck standing at first instead of being at second. Or then the ball gets by here, and then you weren't ready to run. You're still standing at first. The guy wasn't ready. You weren't ready to run to second. So now the ball goes past the catcher, and you still can't get there. So if you're always ready, then you were running towards second. Throw goes home. Goes wild past the catcher. Now you can go to third. So you lost two bases, or you can gain two bases based on you planning ahead, making the aggressive plays, making the right plays. So it is a lot of understanding the situations and preparing for them. Um, Last thing is the play is not over till it's over. So sometimes the play's over, so to say, and but the other team's still doing something. They're got their heads down. Maybe they're walking off the field because they think there's only one out. They think there's two outs, three outs now, and there isn't. So you can take advantage of that. Are they arguing the ball? Are they arguing the call at first base, and you can take off toward home because they're not paying attention? So catch the other team with their heads down. Catch them not paying attention because you're paying attention. That's going to be really important for us to be alert, make a plan, and take action on the bases. Okay, so that's the base running quiz. I appreciate you guys listening to all this. Hopefully that helped. Send any questions in. I'm going to send some links out as far as where you can ask these questions, and I'll get you answers. We can have some more chats, and I look forward to our next discussion, our next topic. But just to wrap up our base running topic, the key points for me on base running are as a player, you're accountable for your base running. Make the decisions. You can do it. You guys have played the game a long time. Be aggressive. When in doubt, do the aggressive thing. Okay? We're going to make mistakes. We're going to get caught up on the next base every once in a while. That's okay. Be aggressive. Put pressure on the defense. Force the mistakes. Um, and that's going to really do really well for us. The last thing is be prepared. Think through it before it happens. Know what's happening on the field at all times. Then you'll make some better decisions. Okay. Thank you for listening. That's the end of this recording, and I look forward to answering your questions and to putting together the next topic. Thanks for listening. See you later. Bye.